Шановні колеги,
Dear colleagues, Anton Gerashchenko, advisor to the Minister of Interior of Ukraine, will talk about actions to clean up Donetsk and Luhansk police, dismissing officers who have not kept their oath to Ukraine and people of Ukraine. So Anton will go into detail about the actions of the Minister of Interior. I'm glad to greet representatives of Ukrainian and foreign media on the during the briefing on this very important topic, which is of concern to the Ukrainian society. I mean actions of the Interior Ministry to clean up our ranks from policemen who have joined with policemen who have broken their oath or who have just pretended to serve in the police. We have a lot of complaints and criticism addressed at the Ministry of Interior that we not sufficiently fight those who have betrayed the interests of Ukraine. I think that often the criticism is because of the lack of information. So I was asked by the Minister Arsen Avakov to tell you about how much we do to purify the ranks in Donbass. And as of today, we have dismissed 1,490 policemen for breaking their oath to Ukraine when, we had information that they did not resist terrorism, they did not obey the orders to relocate to other cities, and 1,227 have filed for resignation. The total number is 2,717 who were purged from police. We also have cases launched against those who betrayed the interests of Ukraine. Let's start from the Donetsk region. We have detained senior lieutenant from Kramatorsk who volunteered during the terrorist occupation to be deputy head of criminal investigations in Kramatorsk. He created an organized criminal group that was stealing cars from car salons of from Kramatorsk. They stolen 52 cars and sold it or gave them away to some. So he is detained and charged with the participation in illegal armed groupings. Also, a major of police who served in state auto inspection. He was appointed head of the company of state auto inspection under the Donetsk People's Republic. He was involved in torture. He was working directly under BES. He was involved in kidnapping entrepreneurs and demanding money for them. Another guy is Lieutenant Colonel, who is a injection drug addict. These people are those who worked in the departments of police under Minister Zakharchenko. Obviously, they were those who were ready to obey any command of criminal commanders. He decided to become a Robin Hood, and when terrorists came to the city, he organized the robbing of drug dens, which were very well known to him in Luhansk region. Deputy head of Rubezhansky city police was detained, who decided to sell arms, and he sold 6 pistols and 12 sets of rounds to the head of the city prosecutor's office. And those pistols were taken from a person who was engaged in terrorist activity. Also, we are looking for the head of Siversky police, who is a major of police, who was actively cooperating with terrorists, and Siversk was their base for May and June. He made policemen to man the road checkpoints. He was an acquaintance of Albanese and List terrorists. He took part in capturing property in Siversk and Lysychansk. At the moment, he's hiding on the territory of Russian Federation. Of course, these are not all the cases, because many active terrorists who were policemen are still taking part in the war on the opposing side, or they are fleeing to Russia or Crimea. But the Ministry of Interior, led by Minister Avakov, will mercilessly investigate all the cases of policemen switching side. We will publish this information, and we won't stop until we lead the police in Luhansk and Donetsk region to the state which the society demands, so that they work not for themselves but for the society. At the same time, I'd say that there's quite a lot of good people in the police in Luhansk region who still resist the terrorists. We shall look into each case individually. We are now collecting information about policemen who joined the terrorist side, and I ask people to write to me via Facebook or other means, and I pass this information to respective bodies.
Here's the Facebook page, and you can drop messages on that Facebook page. My questions are not around this issue, but quite important. And what about the relations between Ministry of Interior Ministry and Right Sector? Do you have some agreements, official agreements? And the second question. And I spoke to Azov battalion in Azov and Donbass battalion. They say it would be great if everyone receives like an individual sign. Let's start with the last one. We are trying to respond to issues all the time. Now, our police subunits, they could fight against terrorists who have ground systems and tanks, and they assist our military forces who don't provide to police heavy military equipment, and still there were a lot of requests, and we requested to provide grenade launchers and anti-tank weapons. They don't satisfy our requirements, and they cover with some bureaucracy. Also, 10 tanks they postpone. And National Guards and the Minister of Interior decided to request, because we need to have the cover for difficult operations like in Ilovaisk. As to tokens, police or badges, police they didn't have a need to have badges, but because of military activities, and when they call our guys with a ground system, and nothing can survive maybe a badge. That's quite a smart thing to do. As to right sector issues, at the initiative of Minister Avakov, there was a meeting with the Speaker of Right Sector, Berioza, and around ultimatums of Mr. Yarash. Ultimatums, they should not come from right sector, because they participate as a guerrilla movement against terrorism. On one hand, it's great that we have such patriots, but on the other hand, right sector, starting from March, we suggested to join legal structures of under Military of Defense or Ministry of Interior, but all that offers were refused, and you ask representatives of the right sector why they refused that, but we will welcome if they are legal and if they fight legally, because in the right sector, the boys are dying from the right. 14 of them recently died near Mandrikino, and some of them were arrested and detained, and they torture them, and they could be killed. And but they don't belong to armed forces or to National Guards or so their families will not receive pensions, will not receive insurance, or nothing. So we don't have any agreement, but we want them with all positive attitude to right sector. We have Arsen Novakov together with Yarosh. They won Maidan from day one to the last day, and we will not allow the flows of weapons. The ship will stop the shipment of weapons from ATOM, and we arrested several cars with a lot of ammunition. But not only the right sector is trying to get weapons from ATO area. There was a public information today that we arrested a lot of grenade launchers, and they were sending them to Kiev, to terroristic organizations for further use during terrorist acts. So we are quite serious to traffic of weapons. And I want to say, if you want to fight in ATO area, leave weapons there. Could you comment the situation in Ilovaisk? How many people died? And are there engagements there? Yes, and very heavy engagements. I wrote in Facebook after I spoke to Donbass. They arrested 8 separatists and quite a known Russian poet Yuri Yurchenko, who as a volunteer came from Paris to fight on the side of separatists and terrorists. And so engagements continue. Ilovaisk is blocked and on the main roads, but they don't give up. Terrorists don't give up because Ilovaisk is an important hub for them on the way to Russia. They understand if they lose Ilovaisk, then the defense will not be as strong. Of course, we have losses, and 5 fighters died, and the commander of Donbass battalion was wounded. So we are the main, and there is a Azov Shakhtersk battalion. 4 died at Dnieper and Donbass from National Guards, and we do that with the support of armed forces, and we don't have enough of armored vehicles, and all these operations they a lot of losses, because these are street fights. That is the most complicated one can face in military tactics, and the last times such things were probably during World War II in Stalingrad, in Berlin, etc. That's why our guys learn, but they lose their friends. But in these battles, our new police is growing, in new National Guard and new military forces, and they will provide, they defend our national interest and our national security after this. Associated Press, can you comment that Stenin, who was lost, is he alive? Is there any information about him? We don't have any information about Stenin, Andrei Stenin. He is missing since August 5, and then there was an information agency for which he worked, and there was a criminal case started and on investigation, but we don't have information. I asked the deputy head of SBU, and they don't know. They don't have any information about him. We would inform you about this cameraman who disappeared. We don't have that information, but I don't understand why you draw attention to him. We need to find 2 more journalists, and one from Mariupol, one from information agency Zik magazine. But all forgot about them. But all of them, both of them disappeared. One in July, one in June, and so we have a lot of unobjectivity. There is an A, and everybody is talking only about that person. Every life of every one person is valuable. So don't think only about staying. We lose our soldiers every day, our policemen, our national guards, and peaceful and civilians are dying every day. And in our state, we should start a register of all victims of terrorism, and for all we should give information who from civilians died, and who died and who was on the side of terrorists, and who died and who was on the side of Ukraine, integral Ukraine. We should have such a register.
Anton, could you tell us about the story about the comrade in Lexus car and the ATO fighter who was beaten? Is there a continuation, or was it a fake? Officially, I saw this information a couple of days ago. Let's hope I won't damage this mic. So is the channel 24 working good? I saw this information on the Facebook, which I investigate regularly as instructed by the minister. The car was established very soon. This is a very real car which belongs to real people. We sent our workers to the hospital. We questioned the patients and doctors and asked them whether there was such a person there, and they told us that they did not have such information. So I addressed the Facebook community through Facebook so that they call me or write to me about where this fighter is, because we need his statement and we have to understand what has really happened. If this fighter does not appear, I'll write this in my Facebook, and I'll tell that at the moment we should not disseminate such information. But now we get to know that there was no Russian armored vehicle convoy in Luhansk, which stretched for 1.5 kilometers. Let's understand that there's a danger of very many fakes during this with different aims. One aim is to show how bad the police is, another is to sow panic among us, but I don't have any confirmation. I asked my subscribers in Facebook, telling them, please give me the contacts of this fighter, including those who started this wave. If they don't give me such an information, it turns out to be fake, I'll write a bit. But what about the convoy? I hear the first story, I hear the second story. Until we have a photo or a video, you know, it's very easy to write about 1.5 kilometer long convoy of armored vehicles. It's very easy to. Yesterday, when I was talking about the ban on Russian channels in Ukraine, and we will help the National Council on Broadcasting to switch them off, I gave the. You know, during the Second World War, they confiscated radio receivers in Germany, in UK, in the USSR. And if there were 100 radio receivers in radios in London, and Hitler would tell that the German troops have landed in Britain, this would be known to everybody in a moment, because those 100 people would call on the other 100 people and so on. So now I call everybody that if you have an information that is delicate, please address either the Minister of Defense or the Minister of Interior. Now I have the question, why people write about this in Facebook, but they forget to helped this person to go to the local police and helped him write the statement. And there was no statement there. I checked this fact. And what was the time how much time it took to dismiss all those policemen that you quoted? It's from the start of the anti-terrorist operation. In 2 minutes, we'll have our next briefing.